God, I'm bored. Empty workbench. Nothing to build. Ah, God. I've got to do something. Suppose I could start on Hellcat again. Nah. There's always the Aero. The X-Wing. Nah. Heracles. Interceptor. Nah. I have to do something. My subscribers are expecting something. Wait a minute. What was that I said in my last video? Oh yeah.
I just thought I'd bring you up to speed with the last remaining work in progress that I've got going. I'm not saying that I won't add to the list by starting something else. I can't guarantee it, can't guarantee it, can't guarantee it. Well, I guess that settles it then. Yep, went and started another one. And it was this one. FineMolds 1/48 scale Mitsubishi A7M1 Reppu, or, well, as they call it, or Sam as we call it. Why did I start another kit when I've got so many kits on the go? Why the hell not? Actually, I had made another start back on the Hellcat. I've now got the firewall done. Took about a week to do that, believe it or not. And when I was actually coming to do the engine bearers, I realised that the aluminium tube, or the tubing that I had, was either too thick or too thin, so I had to order up other tubing that looked more to scale. So, because I wasn't in the mood to do any of these things, and as I may always maintain, if you're not in the mood, don't force yourself to do it, because you'll just screw it up. So I went to the stash and I picked this one out. Primarily because it's FineMolds, and if the X-Wing's anything to go by, and as their name suggests, they are very, very fine mouldings indeed. Lots of nice detail. I'm actually building this one, believe it or not, out of box. I did add a seat harness. You're actually allowed to add a seat harness. Competitions will allow a seat harness and still maintain out of box status. Well, speaking of competitions, last weekend I was at the Scottish National Model Show, the biggie, north of the border as it were. 2-day show through in Perth. Put the little Wildcat in, class winner. In actual fact, our club scooped first, second and third in the 1/44th scale class. Like I said, I took the first prize for the Wildcat. Alistair took highly commended for his SR71 Blackbird, and Gordon took commended for his Hawker Hunter. So we cleaned up. It's summer, by the way. Get the door open. Ah, it's lovely. Hear the birds chirping. Yeah, where was it? Oh, I was talking about seat harnesses, wasn't I? Yeah, so I got the Edward pre-painted set, which, as you know, I don't particularly like, because it's taking another sort of aspect of the hobby out of the equation. I mean, the whole point of these things is we want to build and we want to paint. If it's already pre-painted, blah blah blah. Anyway, but the rest of it I'm just building out of box. As I say, the cockpit is beautifully detailed. Some nice ribbing detail, although there's a couple of big injector pin marks slap bang in the middle of it, which kind of obliterates it. But I did use some evergreen strip and kind of roughly filled them in, because it's not going to see. I can't even remember. I think they're down in this little crevice here, and unless you shine like a 15 megawatt torch in there, you're never ever going to see it. And I haven't even bothered doing any cabling or wiring or hydraulic lines or anything in the cockpit, like I did in the Hellcat, which spent ages doing, and again, you can't see. So yeah, it's just pretty much out of box, but there's a lot of stuff going on in there, you know, out of the box as it were. I got the instrument panel wrong though. I painted it the wrong colour. It's meant to be the dark IJN green. I painted it the light one. I'm not really sure that matters. And the dials were decals. The instrument dials are decals, which I'm never. They always look a bit cartoonish. And even though I put blobs of micro crystal clear over them to sort of replicate their glass, it still looks a bit bright and cheery and colourful. But anyway, other than that, I mean, like for example the engine. In the way this particular plane is designed, the engine cowling kind of tapers down quite considerably. There's also kind of a grill that sits over the engine, and then in addition to that, the propeller has a cooling fan that sits directly behind it. So when all that's in place, you can't even see the damn kit engine. So there was no way I was going to put any kind of aftermarket. FineMolds themselves make an aftermarket kit for it, engine for it I should say. But you can't see it. I mean, I didn't even put an ignition harness on it. I mean, I just painted it up very, very basically. I mean, the push rods are actually moulded in place, but again, I wasn't going to bother cutting them out and putting bits of tubing around it because you just can't see the damn thing. Oh, I know it's there. No. The wheel wells, beautifully represented. There's actually some hydraulic lines in there. Some nice rivet detail. The wheel struts again, no need for any aftermarket there. You can get weighted wheels from FineMolds, but nah, can't be bothered. No point. And I was going to rivet the airframe, but I couldn't find anything online. This is also one of the other reasons why I didn't bother detailing it. I couldn't find any sort of good reference material online or anywhere to show me what went where and why. So I just stuck with the panel lines, which are beautifully engraved panel lines, some nice rivet detail over the gun bay hatches. So yeah, it's fine. The thing with with FineMolds, and this was the case with the X-Wing as well, because if you remember, I actually painted Red 2's markings, which again were easy because they were nice and square and chunky. But FineMolds again, with their very, very thick decals that you can actually feel. The Hinamaru roundels are in two parts, so you have to put the white one on first and then you put the red one over that. Now, being as thick as they are, it's going to, I don't even think even the strongest setting solution is going to make that second one bed into the panel lines, so it's going to look a bit odd. So I decided, being round, it was time to get my trusty compass cutter out and cut the masks myself. So far I'm fairly chuffed with the way they've come out. I mean, they look like Hinamaru's. The red might be a bit bright, although I'm thinking of maybe trying to tone it down a little bit. I've gone for this, as you can see, the prototype all orange yellow colour scheme, which was one of the first things that attracted to me when I bought the kit. And one of the things I did when I was painting it, it's maybe a little bit more evident on the underside maybe, I don't know, if just the way the lights come in you might not be able to see it, but when I primed it, before I put the panel line pre-shading on it, I randomly picked panels and either lightened some or darkened some, so that it would give some kind of tonal variation to this overall orange colour scheme. And it has kind of worked a little bit, but I've still got a little bit of work to do in terms of the overall finish. Being a prototype, obviously it never saw combat or any kind of serious action, but there will be some exhaust staining on it. I'll highlight the panel lines. There will be some fine chipping. I won't be using like aluminium or anything like that. I'll just use a lightened version of this to create that effect, or maybe a darkened version of that, I beg your pardon, or maybe both, who knows. But like for example machine gun exhaust staining, nah, I don't think I'll bother with that too much. There won't be an awful lot of oil staining underneath. And one of the things I did do, because it's already a gloss finish, when it comes right out the bottle, it looks, yes, it's a shiny gloss finish, but it's an overscaled gloss finish, if that makes sense. So what I've been doing is I've been rubbing it down with Alclad's Micromesh polishing cloth. This is the 12,000 grade, which just basically feels like smooth leather. And what it does is it's still shiny, it's still glossy, but it's like a scale 1/48 scale gloss rather than a, if that makes any sense, I don't know, but it just gives it a slightly more realistic gloss finish. Anyway. But there we go. That's, I mean, I'm almost done. Everything's painted. I mean, I'm literally in the final stages now. But I tell you what's a pain in the arse though. It's the antenna mast. You have to glue that on before you put the canopy on. And I like to paint my canopies in place so that you get the canopy metal framing is the same colour as the kit. Quite often when you do your canopies separate, and then you do the plane and you do a wee bit of weathering and whatnot, and then when the canopies go on they kind of stand out because they're still a bit brighter. So as I say, I like to, and also if you have to put any filler between the canopy and the canopy frame and the fuselage, if you're painting it in place, once that's smoothed down, it you know, makes it a much neater join. So this had to be put in before I did that, and so trying to handle this thing without breaking that, it's a nightmare. I'm going to break it, yeah, I'm sure I am, but and also gloss finish. fingerprints. Ay, 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 ay. I just, anyway. All the joys of modelling, huh? So, there we go. That's where we are at the moment. In this sunny May day. Oh no, it's not sunny anymore, it's a big black cloud up there now. But, hello!
Hello.
Just making a video, that's the wife. Come and say hello to everyone. Once you get your hair. Alright, here we go.
Hello.
There we are. My wife. See, proof I do actually have one. And the dog. Hello. You want to come and say hello as well? No? Yeah.